program can also join us. I'm very proud that one of my students is also here with us, and she will attend our session also. So I hope that all these 2 hours and a half will be very fruitful for us, and we should share very interesting ideas. So welcome to everybody. And I do invite Miss Aygün from Institute of Linguistics of the National Academy of Science of Azerbaijan Republic to present her paper about the impact of multilingualism, global education in the 21st century, language learning standards and quantification. So I invite you to share the screen if you have a presentation, and we are glad to hear your presentation.
Thank you very much. I'm pleased to participate in the 4th International Conference on Globalization and International Relations in Ankara, Turkey today. I wish the conference organizers and all conference participants new successes and achievements in the future. Thank you very much for offering me the first speech of the conference. I'm a PhD student of the National Academy of Sciences of Azerbaijan Republic, Institute of Linguistics, named after Imadettin Nasimi. I would like to make a presentation about the impact of multilingualism on global education, 21st century language teaching and learning standards. The importance of having global connections in the 21st century cannot be overstated. In order to prepare ourselves more adequately for these connections and opportunities, it's vital to learn a foreign language. The 21st century has introduced new imperatives into education practices, stimulated by increasing concern about global inequities and the lack of fairness. In my presentation and article, I will give some information about the importance of foreign languages and the English language education in a global world, the role of teaching grammar and vocabulary as concepts in meaningful contexts, teaching English as a second or foreign language, research into foreign language learning, as well as the concept and the importance of the relationship or even the difference between the foreign languages, especially English. The purpose of this presentation is to present some of the aspects which are important in connection with all these theoretical issues. My presentation also presents quantitative units and expressions available in English based on specific linguistic facts. Learning a foreign language and really putting it to work, that will make us stand out. Not only children, but also animals, birds, cats, dogs can imitate the sounds and patterns which they hear around. Moreover, humans continue to imitate and practice these sounds and patterns until they form habits of correct language use. This plays an important role in the future life. By making this as habit of correct language, a child will get success in language learning. 500 years ago, Latin was the most dominant language to be studied because it was the language of business, commerce, education, religion, and government in the Western world. In the 16th century, however, French, Italian, and English gained in importance as a result of political change in Europe, and the Latin gradually became displaced as a language of spoken and written communication. Latin became a dead language. It was being started to read in the books as classic language. By 19th century, people needed to learn a language to get the information from written text, which was mostly in English. As a result, they learned English through translating English into their native language. Today, English is the world's most widely studied foreign and communication language. It is an international language which is used by many people all over the world to communicate with people from different countries and among nations, to understand their culture and traditions, to develop friendship and understanding among people either spoken or written form. There is considerable agreement that we live in the age of globalization. It is the language of globalization, of international business, politics, and diplomacy. It is the language of computers and the internet. Knowledge of the English language has indeed acted as a powerful tool for development and advancement throughout the world. The fluency constitutes a huge step step forward in many people's and countries' struggles for self-sufficiency and success. English is one of the first foreign languages taught in schools in Azerbaijan too. English as one of the languages in the world is very important to learn because it can be used in giving or receiving information and for development of education, technology and arts. It's also very benefit to the young learners. Preparing the learners to study English as early as possible is very crucial because their brain is ready for learning and most of them can learn quite well. A language is considered foreign if it's learned largely in the classroom and is not spoken in the society where the teaching occurs. Studying a language provides the learner with the opportunity to gain linguistic and social knowledge and to know when, how, and why to say what to whom national standards in foreign language education project. A foreign language is a language originally from another country than the speaker. However, there must be defined distinction between foreign and second language. It's also a language not spoken in the native country of the person referred to. Example, English speakers living in any country can say that the language of that country is a foreign language to them, or Turkish speakers living in the United States can say that English is a foreign language to them. These two characterizations do not exhaust the possible definitions. However, the label is occasionally applied in ways that are variously misleading or factually inaccurate. A first language, native language, or mother, father, parent tongue, also known as arterial language or language first, is a language that a person has been exposed to from birth or within the critical period. In some countries, the term native language or mother tongue refers to the language of one's ethnic group rather than one's first language. Sometimes the term mother tongue or mother language or father tongue or father language is used for the language that a person learned as a child, usually from their parents. Children growing up in bilingual homes can, according to these definitions, have more than one mother tongue or native language. The first language of a child is part of the child's personal, social, and cultural identity. Another impact of the first language is that it brings about the reflection and the learning of successful and social patterns of acting and speaking. It's basically responsible for differentiating the linguistic competence of acting, while some argue that there is no such thing as a native speaker or mother tongue. It's important to understand the key terms as well as to understand what it means to be a non-native speaker and the implication that can have on one's life. Research suggests that while a non-native speaker may develop fluency in a targeted language after about 2 years of immersion, it can take between 5 and 7 years for the child to be on the same working level as their native speaking counterparts. National languages are taught in schools as subjects and are also used in schools to teach other subjects. For some children, this means learning to read and write and then speak a different language from the language of the home, or a new variety of their home language, and in doing so, there may be implicit or explicit encouragement to forget the language of the home. Such children are not learning their mother tongue, and because of the link between language and identity, this can mean weakening or even forgetting the social identity created in the home, a regional identity or an identity brought from another country. The use of the national language for teaching or learning other subjects can be a barrier to learning those subjects for children for whom it's not the first language, mother tongue. This may be caused by terminology and the ways of speaking or writing in those subjects. It can also be understood as a link between language and subject identity. Learning this subject is like joining the social group who identify with that subject, and it's necessary to learn their language. The interest in foreign language teaching at all stages has been increased for the last years in the European context, since the mastery of 2 foreign languages seems to be a necessity nowadays. Some people learn more than one language from birth or from a very young age, then they are bilingual or multilingual. These people can be said to have 2, 3, or more mother tongues. Neither language is foreign to that person, even if one language is a foreign language for the vast majority majority of people in the people's birth country. For example, a child learning English from his English father and Irish at school in Ireland can speak both English and Irish, but neither is a foreign language to them. This is common in countries such as India, South Africa, or Canada, due to these countries having multiple official languages. In many countries, bilingualism occurs through international relations, which, with English being a global lingua franca, sometimes results in majority bilingualism, even when the countries have just one domestic official language. A multilingual person is someone who can communicate in more than one language, either actively through speaking, writing, or signing, or passively through listening, reading, or perceiving. Most specifically, bilingual or trilingual people are those in comparable situations involving 2 or 3 languages, respectively. A multilingual person is generally referred to as a polyglot, a term that may also refer to people who learn multiple languages as a hobby. Multilingual speakers have acquired and maintained at least one language during childhood, the so-called first language. I want also to speak about the multilingualism. Multilingualism is the use of more than one language, either by an individual speaker or by a group of speakers. One can have 2 or more native languages, thus being a native bilingual or indeed bilingual. The order in which these languages are learned is not necessarily the order of proficiency. For instance, if a French-speaking couple have a child who learned French first, but then grew up in an English-speaking country, the child would likely be most proficient in English. It's believed that multilingual speakers outnumber monolingual speakers in the world's population. More than half of Europeans claim to speak at least one language other than their mother tongue, but many read and write in one language. Always useful to traders, multilingualism is advantageous for people wanting to participate in globalization and cultural openness. Owing to ease of access to information facilitated by the internet, individuals' export to multiple languages is become increasingly possible. In recent years, linguistic research has focused attention on the use of widely known world languages, such as English as a lingua franca or a shared common language of professional and commercial communities. In lingua franca situations, most speakers of the common language are functionally multilingual. People who know more than one language have been reported to be more adept at language learning compared to monolinguals. In editing multilingualism, one language spoken is called monolingual or monoglot. 2 languages spoken is called bilingual or diglot. 3 languages spoken is called trilingual or triglot. 4 languages spoken is called quadrilingual or tetraglot. 5 languages spoken is called quinqualingual or pentaglot. 6 languages spoken is called sextalingual or hexaglot. 7 languages spoken is called septilingual or heptaglot. 8 languages spoken is called octolingual or octoglot. 9 languages spoken is called novolingual or enneaglot. 10 languages spoken is called decalingual or decaglot, and 11 languages spoken is called undecalingual or hendecaglot. Also 12 languages spoken is called duodecalingual or dodecaglot. People who speak many more than these are sometimes called as hyperpolyglots. In 2004, a study by University College London examined the brains of 105 people who could speak more than one language. The study found that people who learned a second language when younger had denser gray matter than those who learned one later. Gray matter is an area of the brain where information is most efficiently processed due to the function of specific nerve cells. Language education not only contributes to students' career and college readiness, it also helps develop the individual as language learners take on a new and more invigorating view of the world. They come to understand the world better because of their language, of their knowledge of speakers of another language, of people who share many of the same hopes and dreams for the future. In the teaching of a language, the 4 language skills, namely listening, speaking, reading, and writing, should be well taught and mastered by the students. Since English is a new subject for the most junior high school students, the teachers have have to make them be interested in studying. The interest is an important factor to make them pay attention to the subject. The aim of teaching English in junior high school is to motivate them to be ready and have self-confidence in learning English at higher level of education. Learning vocabulary is a very important part of English learning. It is the stock of words in a language, or that is known or used by an individual, or that is associated with particular activity. Vocabulary can be defined as the words we teach in the foreign language. It can also be differentiated from its meaning, namely synonym, antonym, hyponym, and metonym. Vocabulary is very useful for anyone who's studying the foreign language.
Aygun, I need you to conclude because we already passed 15 minutes. I need to conclude the results of your studies, okay? If it is possible.
Yeah, okay. Someone who takes up a profession should first of all love this profession, dedicate themselves to this profession, and work in the realization that this profession suits their inner spirituality. People do not choose their profession for no particular reason. In most cases, they take account of their inner skills, wishes, and desires when choosing a profession. There are very talented people in all spheres, in all countries, and every sphere should have its own specialists. An expert or a specialist should be someone with professional experience in any sphere and must have a deep knowledge of at least one of any foreign languages, especially the English language. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you for your presentation. It was very, very interesting. We will keep the questions and the answer session to the end to give all the participants the opportunity to present their papers. So thank you for your very interesting presentation. And I hope that at the end of our session, we could share our questions because I do have a lot of questions regarding this subject. Okay. Thank you so much. So right now, I guess it's my turn and my colleague's turn, Ioana Marian, to present our work together. I invite my colleague Ana Marian to present the first half of the presentation while I'm sharing the screen. Just a second to share the screen.